The first thing my group did for our boat project was research. We looked up pictures of cardboard boats and even got our hands on some instructional guides that described the best ways to build a boat. Then we started sketching out ideas. I had an idea to make our boat a raft, made up of several boxes tied together for extra buoyancy. This approach would also seat the rafters higher above the water, allowing for greater force when paddling. But after some thought, we decided a raft would prove to be too unsteady for a race. Louis then had this idea of studying origami boats to learn their structure. So we made some origami paper boats. We were so impressed by the structural solidarity that origami provided, we started to consider making our cardboard one in the same way. Obviously, this was a risk. Joseph was definitely doubtful, and for good reason. Cardboard didn't fold like paper, and would most likely end up tearing and looking sloppy. But Louis and I fought for this idea, knowing that using origami could potentially be a huge benefit, so we built a prototype out of cardboard to see if it was possible. Louis and I threw it back to the old geometry and pre-calculus days, using measurements from our paper boat to calculate the angles and lengths for our cardboard prototype. Eventually, we were successful, and we convinced Joseph with our prototype. Now it was time to go big. We gathered cardboard by dumpster diving around campus and going to Box Bros. A bit of innovation was required to fit the 8x4 pieces into the ridiculously small trunk of Joseph's Camaro. Then we went to In-N-Out to get hats for our theme and to enjoy some fabulous burgers. We decided In-N-Out was a great theme for our boat because we wanted to stay away from cliches like pirates. I provided the clever pun In-N-Out Rigger for our name. After we had gathered all of our supplies, it was finally time to build. We taped 3 sheets together to make one big piece. Using the same ratios from our paper model, we measured out where the folds should be and scored them to make folding easier. With amazing strength, we were able to bend and fold the cardboard into our boat shape. We reinforced the sides and waterproofed the bottom. All that was left was to make it look nice. Mackie added the great sign for the back, and Louis cut out the palm trees for the sides. After several hours of hard work, the In-N-Out Rigger was sea ready. Before the race, I was relieved that our origami boat even came together. Our gamble had paid off. I felt pretty confident about our chances to do well because we had a good double-sided paddle and I had some experience kayaking back home. During the race, I was pleased to see how easy our boat was to maneuver in the water. The fold-up design left the walls relatively short, which meant I could easily reach the water with a paddle while sitting down. This gave us an advantage over other boats because some of them had very high walls that made it tough to paddle. After we got second in our first heat, I decided that maybe we could save some time if I paddled backwards on the way back. This proved to be a not so great strategy, as it was harder to keep the boat straight when I couldn't see where I was going. After it was all done, I was proud of how our boat stood up. The only thing I wish we did differently was get another paddle for Mackie. She was stuck with a short wooden pledge paddle which didn't prove to be very effective. Overall, our team worked extremely well together. We found it beneficial to divide up the work in order to save time. Louis and I were in charge of the main construction. Mackie worked on the aesthetics, and Joseph did a little bit of everything and was especially helpful with waterproofing the boat. Really, the only source of disagreement among our group was deciding whether or not to do the origami boat. Joseph was very adamant in pointing out it was a huge risk, and if it didn't work out, then our team would have to scramble to throw something together. But we approached the risk in the right way by first building a prototype. If the small-scale cardboard one worked, then there was a high probability that the big one would work too. Similar to the Vasa case, we did a stability and weight test with our prototype, but not with our finished product. We hoped and prayed the results would translate, and thankfully they did. Going forward on other projects, I will definitely make sure to do small tests along the way to make iterations. This way the success of our product doesn't hinge on one final test. I believe I was able to be a big contributor to the project. I thought it was good for us to do something challenging and different. A lot of the other groups were making similarly designed boats, and I wanted ours to stand out aesthetically and structurally. I also came up with the In-N-Out theme and convinced our group to take on the name In-N-Out Rigger. I liked the way I was able to step up and be a leader in certain aspects of the project and stand back and be a follower in others. This way everyone had an opportunity for their voice to be heard and contribute equally.